This is Channel 4 live at Super Bowl 22.
It is Super Sunday in San Diego. The temperature is 65 degrees. The Redskins and the Broncos getting together in Super Bowl 22.
The Washington Redskins, the National Football Conference champions, against the Denver Broncos, the American Football Conference champions. In Super Bowl 22, live from Jack Murphy Stadium in San Diego. The Vince Lombardi Trophy, the most coveted prize for winning football's greatest game. Named after the man who stood for football excellence. And in his quest, heroes have emerged. And some plays will be forever a part of its history. And for a select few, the realization that you're the best in the game.
Hi, welcome to American Football live on Channel 4. Here we are in sunny San Diego at the Jack Murphy Stadium. As you can see, the fans still filtering in, eagerly awaiting Super Bowl 22.
It was very cloudy this morning, but the sun's come out now and it's excellent conditions for playing football. We'll be covering the game for the next 3.5 hours using ABC's coverage. They'll be using 12 advert breaks every hour, but we'll only take 7 minutes of those. And the rest of the time, I'll be talking up here in the box with Coach Don Shula. We're going to take 3 advert breaks during this pre-game show so that you get to see the whole of the game.
We arrived on Wednesday, but that didn't go quite according to plan.
No, it didn't, did it? Angelo, in his infinite wisdom, decided to cut a few corners on our flight fares. Our luggage went to San Diego, but we went to Mexico City. And after a day and a half hitchhiking, we arrived at the American border, just 17 miles south of San Diego. Surprise, surprise, there was no one there to meet us.
Hi, yeah, with the British presenters of the American Football series on Channel 4. Yeah, there should be a car picking us up.
Yeah, but we're not at the airport.
Oh, no, we're not at the airport. Yeah, we came in via Mexico, at the Mexican border. Yeah, charge it to Michael Grade.
Good move,
Thanks.
Good move.
Should be here any second. Yeah. They could have sent a limo. So at last we were on our way to San Diego. It's got a population of around 2.5 million, the 7th largest city in the US. The Super Bowl should bring it over $300 million. This is so beautiful, look at this.
I know, it's great. I mean, the whole town's based on water, isn't it?
It's one of the primary US naval bases in the US.
Yeah, and that's where Dennis Conner keeps his boat that won the America's Cup.
Over there's SeaWorld with the killer whales and the porpoises and everything. The docks over there, it's just beautiful.
2 of the blimps coming.
That's right. And should we go over to the naval base?
Yeah, all right.
See how they recruit and stuff like that. Go on then.
Go this way!
Quicker this way.
No! San Diego is the home of the Pacific Fleet, training ground of the Marines. We went to find out just how tough they really are.
Just quite pull it down.
There you go. Come on, champ. Up you go.
You wait.
After all that, I had to take Angelo back to the hotel pool to recover, and there we met a real football expert.
So, George, you played 8 seasons in the States. What are the American fans like?
Well, I suppose the big difference is, they all enjoy it. There's very, very little violence.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a whole family thing. I mean, this Super Bowl, I mean, it's a whole day. You know, the families turn up, they have barbecues. It's from first thing in the morning to last thing at night.
But you don't get the singing like you do in an English football game, do you?
No, and you don't get a brick in the back of your head or, or beaten up on the way home. No, it's a different type of support and atmosphere, but I think it's a lot better. You feel more relaxed, and it's more of an enjoyable atmosphere.
So, George, we've been having a bit of bad luck with our tips, and we were wondering if you could give us a tip for who's going to win the Super Bowl.
Well, tell me what your tips are first, and I'll go the other way.
Well, he's going for the Denver Broncos, saying that the Redskins could pull it off.
Yeah, well, I think it can go either way. I think obviously a lot of people, because of Elway, saying he's the best quarterback around at the moment. So a lot of people going for the Broncos. I think defensively Washington are a better side, but because of Elway, I'll be the same. I'll go for Denver.
So George going for Denver too.
Yeah, well, he's a sensible man going with the team that I've tipped.
But you always tip the losers, Andy.
Oh, don't start all that again. Look, when Elway gets out on that pitch and starts throwing the ball around, then you're going to see some fireworks. I mean, that man can really throw a football, I'm telling you.
Yeah, but Dexter Manley will knock the surf out of him. Well, that's how we got here. Let's now see how the Washington Redskins, the NFC champions, and the Denver Broncos, the AFC champions, got to Super Bowl 22. Both teams had indifferent starts to the season. Doug Williams came in to replace last year's Golden Boy, Jay Schrader, and beat Philadelphia on opening day. But then lost against Atlanta despite throwing 3 touchdown passes because Ali Haji Sheikh missed an extra point.
Denver also won their first game, but on week 2 failed to break a tie with Green Bay when Rich Carlis slipped on a 40-yard field goal attempt with 13 seconds remaining in overtime.
Then came the strike. Washington made the most of it with 3 straight wins thanks to a talented replacement team, including receiver Anthony Allen, who caught 7 passes for a club record 255 yards and 4 touchdowns against St. Louis.
Denver was less fortunate. By week 8, following losses to Minnesota and Buffalo, were just 3rd in their division with a 4-3-1 record. But from that point, they rallied with 6 wins in 7 games, including a snowbound victory over division rivals San Diego, that put the host team out of the playoffs and clinched the division title for the Broncos.
The Redskins breezed into the playoffs with an 11-4 record, then gave Chicago and Jim McMahon a hard time in the divisional game. By this time, Doug Williams was back in charge, having contested the starting spot with Schrader all season. A win guaranteed him his place.
In their divisional game, Denver annihilated Houston, with John Elway at his immaculate best.
In the NFC Championship game, Doug Williams managed to get the Skins in front of Minnesota in a low-scoring game. And then his defense stopped the Vikings' reply at Washington's goal line to seal the victory and their place in Super Bowl 22.
Denver's AFC Championship game with Cleveland was again a classic. Bernie Kosar pulling the Browns back from an 18-point deficit to tie the game late in the 4th quarter. John Elway was equal to the task, driving his team upfield and releasing Sammy Winder, who carried the ball 20 yards for a score which gave the Broncos a 7-point lead until the final seconds. But Denver might not have been at the Super Bowl at all if Ernest Biner could have hung on to the ball as he crossed Denver's goal line. The Broncos made the big play, so they're here in San Diego.
Joining us again this year is Don Shula, coach of the Miami Dolphins. He's coached in this game a record 6 times with Baltimore and Miami. His Dolphins put together back-to-back Super Bowls in 1973 and 74. In fact, Coach, I think the Dolphins were the last team to beat the Redskins a little over a month ago.
That's right. We had a heck of a ball game that night. Dan Marino threw 3 touchdown passes to Mark Duper. We had to win the game. We did, but the Redskins are tough.
Well, talking about quarterbacks, we have 2 great ones in the game today, Doug Williams and John Elway. Doug Williams, in his second year as a Redskin, will become the first black quarterback to start a Super Bowl. He didn't play a down in his first season with Washington and has only started 4 times this year, but he did play 5 years in the NFL with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and between 1978 and 82, took them to the only 3 playoff seasons in their history.
So Doug Williams does have playoff experience. The pressure's been on him all week out here, but I'm sure that when the game starts, he's only going to be thinking about one thing, and that's winning. Here he demonstrates in a pressure situation in the NFC Championship game that he can make the big play. This one is complete way down the field. He then comes back and throws the game winner, the play that puts him into the Super Bowl. Doug Williams.
If John Elway has a swagger in his step these days, it's because his teammates have nicknamed him the Duke, after that other great American hero, John Wayne. He goes from strength to strength and was voted the league's most valuable player this season.
We're going to see him in 3 situations: stepping up into the pocket, throwing the ball down the field, on the line. The defense doesn't have a chance to react. Here he comes outside, and this is run all the way. He demonstrates the ability to run like a running back. On this play, a big play in the AFC Championship game, he bounces off his own man, looks down the field, quickly flips it out into the flat. The Browns missed some tackles, 80 yards and a touchdown.
Even the great quarterbacks need receivers, and Elway's targets have emerged as this year's media darlings. The 3 amigos are Mark Jackson, Vance Johnson, and Ricky Nattiel. Johnson is the leader, but he's recovering from injury and may see limited action today. Jackson, in his second year, usually starts on the other side. But Nattiel, the rookie, has shown big play potential in the playoffs. So will the 3 amigos be the stars of Super Bowl 22?
Okay, well, at the moment, the pre-game show is going on out on the pitch, and it's a tribute to that English-born actor and golfer, Bob Hope. The crowd is almost all in now. We're sat on the Denver side, in the orange section of the crowd, and on the far side, I can see the maroon-clad fans of the Redskins. Over this side, there seems to be a predominance of number 7 shirts. The Denver fans all hoping that John Elway can pull out a big one today. And over on the far side, a lot of people today are wearing 72 shirts because Manley has been outspoken in the press this week. And we've also got some English fans here. There you can see the English fans. They've come over. We met a few of them in one of the nightclubs the other day. And outside, you can see that is the biggest parking lot they've ever had for a Super Bowl. A lot of people were tailgating out here from early this morning. We also had about 1,000 people out here yesterday looking at an empty stadium. That's the pull of the Super Bowl.
Today's game could be one of the closest in Super Bowl history, and if that's the case, it'll be down to the kickers. So, who better to talk to than our own kicking expert, John Smith?
All you rugby players and footballers out there with aspirations to kick in the NFL, I just want you to know it's not as easy as it looks. This ball is snapped back 7 yards from the center to the holder. The field goal kicker has to get the ball up over the line in under 1.3 seconds, otherwise one of those defensive linemen is going to crush you.
So how does it feel with a 20-stone guy coming down at you?
Well, you don't really think about it. You're thinking about your steps and getting the ball up and getting the ball between the uprights. And if you get hit, then that's at the last second. So it doesn't happen very often that you're going to get hit, because if you do, it's a 15-yard penalty.
So they're not likely to hit you after you've kicked it then? No, the coach will be absolutely irate if they hit you because it's 15 yards and a first down. Right. So that defense has been on the field all that time. Now they got to come back again.
Right.
You don't want to upset those defensive players.
But on the other hand, when you score a try in rugby in the corner, then you have to take the conversion from the sideline. In American football, you're always kicking from in front of the post.
Yeah, you're kicking on the hash mark, between the hash marks, which is 18 feet.
Right.
Right in front of the post, so that does make it a little bit easier. But the hard factor is the time. Under 1.3 seconds, so you're moving to a spot without the ball there.
Yeah,
you're having to time it. That's right, it's an empty space.
So you're going to show us how to do it?
I'm going to make you pros.
Oh, great.
Right.
So, Angelo, your job as a holder is very difficult. I give you a spot on the grass.
Right.
You put one finger on the spot. You take your other hand out towards the center. Now, as soon as I see this finger move, I know the ball's coming, and that gives me my clue to start my steps.
Right.
Here comes the ball. You put it on the spot. You're holding it wrong. Neither of us will have a job if you hold it that way. You put one finger on the ball.
Yeah.
And spin the laces towards the posts.
Right, okay.
Because if the laces are on this side, the ball will go to the right. If the laces are on this side, it goes to the left. If the laces are facing me,
you hurt your foot.
I get no power. That's right. Yeah. I get no power and the ball goes nowhere.
Do I hold it straight up?
For a left-footed kicker, which I am, I like the ball tilted to the left a little bit so I can get underneath the ball.
Then what happens?
I make my steps. My non-kicking foot goes by the side of the ball, and I'm going to make 3 steps backwards and line up with the posts. It's very important for every kicker to make sure they're grooved. So they want to approach the ball the same way, whether it's an extra point or a 50-yard field goal. So I take 3 steps back and 2 steps to the side. That gives me a 45-degree angle, so I can approach the ball the same way and make sure that every kick is the same.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, but you know, like Rich Carlis does his bare foot.
Yeah.
I think I'll try one like that.
Why?
See if it makes any difference.
Yeah, it's going to make a great deal of difference. You're going to hurt yourself.
I won't hurt myself.
Angelo, it's a hard ball.
I won't hurt myself. I won't hurt myself. Ready?
You're going to hurt yourself. See? I told you you'd hurt yourself.
Well, I think Angelo and Andy need a little bit more practice. But I had a chance to talk to the real kickers in Super Bowl 22. Last year's Super Bowl. What are your feelings about that?
Well, it was disappointing. I mean, it was disappointing for the whole team, and it was disappointing for myself. You know, for me, to have such a great playoff and to kick so well through the playoffs, and then come out and have such an average or below average Super Bowl. It was real disappointing for me. So this year it's an opportunity to come back and sort of make amends for all that.
Unique situation with the Redskins. Are you aware of the fact that during the game, Coach Gibbs may come to you, go kick a field goal?
Well, I'm always aware of that fact. I'm not really sure where it will be, on the position on the field, where it will be. We usually determine that right before the game. As in a championship game, the drawing line was the 50-yard line, or 50 yards out, 40-yard line. And anything behind that, I was going to try. And anything in front of that, Ollie was going to try. So we usually determine that before the game. But if for some reason he does come to me, I'm always prepared and always ready. I usually try to practice that a little bit each week,
The key to kicking is not looking back and saying, if I'd done this, if I'd done that. The thing about it is you play the cards you dealt, and like I said, if you make it, great. And if you don't, well, you just got to do better next time.
Do you think kicking is 80% mental?
About 95% mental.
95%?
Torches in the van. Thank you.
Welcome back to San Diego for Super Bowl 22. In a moment, we're going to be meeting the Denver Broncos. And here they come, the Denver Broncos. Listen to the fans go.
American Football Conference champion Denver Broncos. From Florida, wide receiver number 84, Ricky Nattiel. From Texas, left tackle number 70, Dave Studdard. From Baylor, left guard number 54, Keith Bishop. From Arizona, center number 62, Mike Freeman. From Michigan, the right guard, number 79, Stephon Humphreys. From Florida State, right tackle number 76, Ken Lanier. From Georgia, the tight end number 88, Clarence Kay. From Purdue, wide receiver number 80, Mark Jackson. From Stanford, quarterback number 7, John Elway. From Southern Mississippi, running back number 23, Sammy Winder. And from Louisiana State, running back number 33, Gene Lang. And the head coach of the Denver Broncos, Dan Reeves.
And here they are, the NFC champions, the Washington Redskins.
Introducing now the National Football Conference champion, Washington Redskins offensive unit. From Southwest Texas State, wide receiver number 83, Ricky Sanders. From San Diego State, tight end number 85, Don Warren. From Louisville, left tackle number 66, Joe Jacoby. From Tennessee, left guard number 63, Raleigh McKenzie. From Clemson, the center, number 53, Jeff Bostic. From Arkansas, right guard, number 69, R.C. Thielman. From Pittsburgh, right tackle number 73, Mark May. From Portland State, tight end, number 86, Clint Didier. From James Madison, wide receiver, number 84, Gary Clark. From Grambling, quarterback, number 17, Doug Williams. From South Carolina, running back, number 38, George Rogers. And the head coach of the Washington Redskins, Joe Gibbs.
Okay, so as you join us now, we've got a fly past by the Navy. And the balloons are being released on the pitch. Don, we can just grab you before the kickoff now. How do you think the game's going to go? Aren't those planes great? There you go. How do you think the kickoff's going to go, Don?
Well, they're going to have the coin toss shortly, and I think Washington, if they had their choice, they would like to kick the ball off. They play a much better defense, and their offense, they would like to take their time to get that started. Denver, on the other hand, with Elway, would like to get their hands on the ball right now and move it down the field.
And do you think that Denver's going to be able to use Elway to his full against the defensive line of Washington today?
No question. The only way that Denver can win this football game is that John Elway has to have an outstanding game. He has to do all of the things that he's capable of doing. And that's as a thrower, a scrambler, a guy that does things by design, and a guy that makes things happen on his own.
We even saw him kick against Cleveland, didn't we?
Yeah. If they have to do that, they're not going to win the game doing it that way.
No. He must be one of the most complete football players in the game at the moment.
No question about that. He can do it all, and he does have some good people around him. People tend to think about Denver as a one-man team. They're not a one-man team, but Elway is just such an imposing player.
And Washington this week in the press over here have been playing their side down and sort of praising the Denver team almost in order to make themselves the underdogs. Do you think that's a psychological ploy?
It's pretty much Joe Gibbs's history. He'll do that to just get his team really ready to play the football game by telling them how good the other team is, and that the only chance that they have is if they play a great football game. He's been successful doing that through the years, and I'm sure that he's done it these last 2 weeks.
Right, and a lot of talk about nerves before the game. Do you think the players actually enjoy the game once do they take in the occasion once they get into the game?
Well, when you get into the game, it's all concentration. You got so much to think about, and you forget about the crowd, you forget about nerves. Coaching's the same way.
Right.
At this time, I'm nervous. The butterflies, my stomach is churning, the butterflies are there, you're pacing back and forth. But when the ball is kicked off, your concentration has to be on what has to be done in the ball game, and you lose your nervousness.
Right. And you'll be hoping, I suppose, to get there next year when it'll be played in Miami?
The home team in Miami. Would I love that? I don't think there would be a lot of people around the National Football League would want us to be the home team, but we do have a shot to do that. The last 2 years, we've been knocked out of the playoffs the final week of the season, but hopefully we'll be better.
Okay. So, how do you think San Diego has stood up as a Super Bowl city?
I think they've done well. I got out here on Thursday, and the thing that impressed me about San Diego was the way that they've organized everything and the friendliness of the people. Whether it's a cab driver, the hotel people, the fans, whether they're Washington fans or Denver fans, the San Diego people, they want to make a good showing. They want this Super Bowl back.
Right. And do you think, having lost last year, Denver will they'll have had the experience, they'll be able to use that experience, and they'll be fired up having lost?
The first time that we won the Super Bowl, I had been in 2 of them and lost both of them, so I was really thirsty to get that first win. Denver being here last year, playing a great first half against the Giants, and then getting beat in the second half, you know that they feel that they can win this one.
All right, we've got Don Hudson coming out now to toss the coin. He was a pro football player for Green Bay Packers, wasn't he?
Great. He's got all the records as far as receiving goes. Great all-time receiver.
There's some England's only had American football coverage of the Super Bowl for the last 6 years, but
Captain Dave Butts
could you sort of tell us a bit about Don Hudson?
Gentlemen,
well, Don Hudson was a receiver for the Green Bay Packers, and he set all of the records. He was the first one that utilized going down into the secondary and putting the great moves on and beating the defensive back and then going up and fighting for the ball. He was before his time as far as what receivers were doing at that time, and receivers now copy him.
Okay, here we go.
Captain Butts, excuse me, Captain Butts, I'm going to ask you to call
Washington gets the
while
call.
the coin
That's
is
Dave
in the
Butts,
air.
number 65.
John, would you please toss the coin?
Okay.
Heads, he says. It is a head. Let's go. It is a head. Washington has won the toss. What is your choice? He wants the ball. All right. Would you please turn around, gentlemen? Reverse yourselves. Washington has won the toss.
and we'll receive at this end. Good luck, men.
And so it's finally here. We get set for the kickoff of Super Bowl 22 on a beautiful day in San Diego. Joe Gibbs knows San Diego so well. He went to school at San Diego State. He was an assistant coach there. He was an assistant with the Chargers. So in a way, it is coming home for a man who in his 7th season is the head coach of his 3rd Super Bowl. 1 win, 1 loss coming in. And Dan Reeves, who took over in Denver at the same time Gibbs came to the helm at Washington. And for Dan Reeves, it's Super Bowl number 2 for the Broncos as a franchise. It is Super Bowl number 3. They were in it 10 years ago under Red Miller and lost to Dallas. They lost last year to the Giants, and they've made it plain and simple for the past week and a half. They're happy to be here, but they'll be miserable to go home with another loss. And for Washington, back to receive Rich Karlis's kick. Ricky Sanders dropping back. He is in the middle. Timmy Smith and Reggie Branch flank him. But Gibbs would like to see the ball wind up in the hands of Sanders, his wide receiver, who stands back at the 2-yard line. So Rich Karlis to kick off. The sun will be no factor because we have partly cloudy skies at the start of the game at about 3:25 Pacific time. And so here we go. Super Bowl 22 is underway. And it's Sanders at the 1. Past the 10. And thrown out of bounds at the 17-yard line along with one of the officials as well. And the first big hit of the day winds up on Jack Fetty, the line judge. Kevin Clark runs him out of bounds. And Doug Williams comes out to run the offense from the 17. Another look right here.
I think Denver right off the bat is telling everyone in this stadium and across America that they plan on winning the battle of special teams. That's some way to fire up your defense to get a game started.
Timmy Smith is in along with Clint Didier in starting roles, and it's Sanders who moves in motion from the 18-yard line, and it's Smith who takes it out to the 21. And this is the very first interesting story of the day, the fact that George Rogers is not starting. Ryan and Smith in on the tackle. George Rogers with an injured ankle in the NFC Championship game 2 weeks ago. And the Redskin coaches indicated to us the other day Rogers would probably start. Smith would see the majority of action. But here it is with Smith starting the game, the rookie. 2nd and 6 at the 22-yard line. Gives it to Smith through the middle of the line, and nothing is there. Minimal gain. Rulon Jones gets credit for the tackle. It'll set up 3rd and about 5 out of the 23-yard line. Doug Williams, who's been sacked just once in the playoffs. And the cast of characters with him, and it will be ever-changing. There it is for the moment. Smith with Sanders and Clark, the wideouts. So Bryan comes in on 3rd down here. And the offensive line. Art Monk is in on 3rd down and 6 from the 22-yard line. Bryant is number 24. He's their 3rd down specialist. They send him out into the pattern, and the pass is lofted and dropped by Clark. Pressure was put on. Rick Dennison blitzed, forced Williams to get rid of the ball, but the pass was there anyway. Simply a drop by Clark.
Gary Clark had his eyes on the football. It was floating right into his hands, and it looked so easy. It seemed so easy to the sure-handed Clark. He just takes his eyes off. You see the pressure here, and again, Williams is able to get rid of it. He can do it so well. Well, and that's a smart play defensively by Denver, overloading a side. Dennison right in Williams' face, but again, it all boils down to Gary Clark's mistake and dropping a ball. Pre-game jitters by number 84.
Steve Cox to punt, and Kevin Clark is back for Denver at his own 37-yard line. So the Broncos holding the Skins on their first possession. And it's Clark who lets it bounce at the 45, and it is down at the 44-yard line. So near midfield, the Broncos will begin their first drive of the day. Monty Coleman downing it. And here come the Broncs now, led by John Elway with a marker down, penalty marker down on the punt return.
Ineligible downfield on the kick, number 54. Penalty is declined. First down.
Kurt Gouveia. They'll take it where it stands as John Elway, so brilliant through the regular season and the playoffs. Winder and Lang as running backs. Natil and Jackson start. Vance Johnson will play but not start. And the revamped offensive line. Bill Bryan hurt in mid-year. Mike Freeman takes over at center. Out of the shotgun, which is their basic formation. And Elway going for the bomb right at the outset. Throws caught by Natil. Touchdown! From Florida, Ricky Natil, the #1 draft pick, good protection, working against Barry Wilburn. Man for man, great protection for Elway. He lays it up there right in stride to Natil. And maybe he is Superman then. And you look at Barry Wilburn giving away the inside of the field to Ricky Natil like he's expecting some sort of help from a safety to the inside. Nothing's there. And already, look at this, Denver out in front to a 7-0 lead. Unbelievable. Rich Karlis with the extra point. Fastest touchdown in Super Bowl history. Broncos come out very much meaning business. Already 7-0 Denver.
Well, that must be about the fastest touchdown in the Super Bowl.
What a way to start. Elway on the first snap from the shotgun, and this is important because they've used a lot of the shotgun offense from the middle of the year on, and they figured they could do more with the shotgun. Decided to go for broke. Natil got open behind the corner man for the Redskins. Touchdown on the first play. It's interesting because Washington came out, they won the toss, they got the football, and they were conservative. Yeah. 2 running plays on the first 2 plays. On third down, they barely got the snap off.
Yeah, and then Clark dropped it.
And he drops the ball.
Nerves? Can you
Williams,
put that down to nerves? Or?
I think so, because they took a lot of time in a huddle. They barely got the snap off. Denver had good pressure on Williams, but he put the ball right where it should be thrown, and then Clark drops it. So the contrast in the 2 styles, conservative as opposed to Denver, Elway going for broke.
Do you think that's true of most AFC, NFC sort of balance? I mean, the AFC teams tend to be sort of more adventurous, or?
Well, when you have Elway, you can afford to be more adventurous because he was in the Super Bowl last year, and I think that took away some of the nervousness. That's why he had the confidence to throw the ball on the first play. On the other hand, they were trying to sort of ease Williams into it, and he started slow, but he did throw the ball where he was supposed to throw it, but it's all Denver right now.
A great start. Well, let's go back and join the match commentators from ABC.
27th pick. And the Broncos surprised a lot of people. Most thought Denver would go for somebody on defense. They said, no, Natil's available. Let's grab him.
And what did Dan Reeves tell us about Ricky Natil? He said, you know, a lot of people think that Vance Johnson is our best receiver. He said, no way. My #1 guy is Ricky Natil.
And he has said that since preseason. Ricky Sanders from the 1 slips down. And so Washington again begins at just about the same spot around their 16-yard line.
Let's go back and look at Natil's touchdown. Here he is at the top of the screen. Here he's lined up against Wilburn, but look at this, Todd Bowles, a free safety. Now let's run it a little bit and watch Wilburn give Natil the inside of the field. Turns his shoulders, and it looks like he's expecting some help from Bowles. But if we could freeze it right about here, here's Bowles in the middle of the field, totally out of the play. And you really have to wonder if Barry Wilburn wasn't expecting Todd Bowles for some help. He just wasn't there.
From the 17-yard line, Washington, 1st and 10. 2 minutes into the game, and Doug Williams to throw on 1st down. He doesn't often throw to his running backs, but he hits Smith here, and Smith lays a pop on Haynes, and you can hear that one quite plainly. Close to a 1st down.
A couple of rookies have already played a major role here as we look at this touchdown, the quickest in Super Bowl history, but Timmy Smith filling in for George Rogers, who's been hurt all year long. We're going to see a lot of him today. And he is just lucky he is here. He had surgery as a junior. He had surgery on his ankle as a senior, wearing a plate in his ankle now, and has performed well already in these playoffs.
2nd down, inches at the 27-yard line. And it's Smith to the 30. When they threw to Smith, we said it was something they don't normally do. Smith caught 1 pass all year for -2 yards. And George Rogers is another to whom they very rarely throw the ball. In throwing situations, they will, however, go with Kelvin Bryant in their backfield. Now the defensive line, this is their base defense with a lot of situation substitution. Mecklenburg, 77, as you all know, plays all over the field. And there's the secondary. Mark Haynes coming back and having a good year in 87 after a bad one in 86. On 1st down, the rookie Smith, and he could be a big man today, out to the 34-yard line. Andre Townsend makes the tackle. And for Smith, a guy who spent most of his junior and senior years in college.
And here's their old-fashioned counter gap play. McKenzie, Jacoby powering up through the hole. And if you're a running back like Timmy Smith, you just follow those blocks. Your tight end up front, Donnie Warren, and it's relatively easy when the first guy you take on is either a linebacker or a defensive back.
2nd and 5, Sanders is in motion. Williams, good protection, but throws it into the middle, and it's incomplete. Greg Pregame got a hand up on the low throw. 3rd down and 5 coming up.
Frank, there's Pregame. I talked about him at the beginning of the ball game, undersized. One of the things I've noticed early that Denver and Dan Reeves has Pregame playing about a yard off of the ball, get him away from that quick contact.
They originally wanted Townsend over the center, and their defensive end Freddie Gilbert was hurt early in the year. They tried to make this team bigger after they were beaten by the Giants a year ago, but they now are still small once again.
3rd down, 5. That's Clark going in motion, coming back to the right, and out into the pattern he goes. And the pass for him is incomplete at the 40-yard line. He couldn't hold that one either. The first one, of course, on the last drive, a much simpler one to hang on to. Simon Fletcher put the pressure on, and so Washington 3 and out on their first 2 possessions.
Washington looking like a lot of teams have looked in past Super Bowls, playing very conservative offensively, and of course Denver exactly the opposite. They go right to the air, and look what they get for it, 7 quick points. And Washington's going to have to string together some 1st downs to keep Denver and John Elway off the field.
To be more precise, they did pick up 1 1st down. Now they have to kick still from deep in their own territory for the 2nd time as Cox kicks a low one toward Kevin Clark from the 23. Out past the 30 and driven down. Jeff Bostic gets down there to make the stop. We have 11:14 remaining in the first quarter in Super Bowl 22. 7-0 Bronx.
So, a great start, and Denver have held the Redskins yet again.
Right. Washington had a 1st down in this series. I thought that they were going to come back and try to get a drive together, but they, on 3rd down and 5, Williams threw the ball. It was an overthrow. Clark made a diving effort to come up with it, wasn't able to hang on to it, so they had to punt now. Denver has got the ball with pretty good field position. 1st and 10 on their own 30-yard line, and now I'm anxious to see whether or not Elway is going to try to go for broke again, or whether they try to get a drive going to move the ball down the field.
Yeah, do you think it's been a factor that Smith has come in for Rodgers?
I think so. They, in about the middle of the year, they started to play Smith a lot more. We played them in Miami late in the year, and it was very evident that they wanted to get Smith into the ball game every opportunity that they could. They would use Rodgers only in situations where they felt that he would give them that powerful running.
Right. And Denver's defensive line seem to be playing out of their skins at the moment.
Right. Yeah, Denver's defensive line is a quick defensive line. Every time they line up, there's a mismatch. The other team is always bigger, but they've been able to get this far because they are quick. They can move around, and they diagnose plays real well. They can make the play, and although they give up a lot of size, they still have done an outstanding job, and they can put pressure on the passer.
Right. Well, let's go back to Elway and see what he's going to do this time.
Doug Williams and the Washington Redskins, 2 possessions, 1 first down, 2 punts as he begins one of his first 4. John Elway has been in for 1 play, a 56-yard touchdown pass to Natil. And Denver comes up here with a 2 tight end set out of the shotgun. Mobley and Kay are the tight ends. With Mark Jackson in motion, Elway to the air again, takes a very deep drive, and incomplete as Jackson gets blanketed on the play. Mark Jackson covered by Darrell Green.
Elway wants it all early. Putting it up in the air again. Let's go back to that touchdown toss a moment ago, and you'll see it from ground level. A good shot. You watch number 88 come off the line of scrimmage. That's Clarence Kay, the tight end. Todd Bowles looked at him long before he looked over to see Barry Wilburn, who was trying to cover Natil. And it did appear as if Wilburn thought he was going to have help in the inside. He didn't get it. Natil into the end zone.
Now Vance Johnson comes into the game for the first time. He was hurt, suffered that ruptured artery 3 weeks ago and missed the AFC Championship game. Elway over the middle. There's Jackson at the 45 into Redskin territory. Gets a block and out of bounds at the 36-yard line. Ricky Natil laid down the block to spring him even further in a 32-yard pickup.
Again, a crossing pattern, something that Denver has done so well all year long, and something about a crossing pattern. There's Jackson at the right of your screen. Now watch him make his break to the inside. It takes a long time, and we talked about the line of scrimmage and who's going to control it. Hey, right now Denver's giving John Elway all the time in the world to find receivers like Mark Jackson on a crossing pattern, and the Redskins secondary right now in a state of confusion, and the Redskins defensive line on the line of scrimmage. They're not doing much.
2 of the 3 amigos already with a long reception, and this is Steve Sewell who's going to throw. He throws back to Elway the other way, inside the 20, down to the 13-yard line. They ran that play on opening day in 1986 against the Raiders for a touchdown. 24 yards here. Elway to Sewell, back to John.
As Al said, they have run this play before. Here's Sewell right here. He'll come in motion, take the ball from Elway. John just flares off down the field, and Steve Sewell, even though he's from Oklahoma, has an arm. The inside handoff, and look at John Elway all by himself. That's Charles Mann in pursuit. You say, why risk a quarterback? Hey, this is the Super Bowl.
From the 13, they run a draw. Give it to Winder, and he gets about a yard. Down to the 12. The Redskins, once they get backed up, are very, very tough to score on. Elway putting his mark into the record book on that last play. He's their second leading rusher. You know what he does with his arm, and he catches as well.
He might not have a lot of marks before the Super Bowl is over if they don't put a little pressure on him. Redskins might have to start thinking about getting someone in there for Butts and Grant, which is Hamilton and Quick. Much faster defensive end.
That's Sewell in the slot and in motion now on second down from the 12-yard line. And Elway rifles it to Sewell, and he goes out of bounds at the 6-yard line. Steve Sewell, so versatile, and the Denver coach is telling us the other day he's going to be very instrumental today. Receiving, running, and they did mention throwing, and Washington already knows that. The Redskins defensively, and we'll set them up for you. It's been tough to get to these graphics because of the way Denver's gone about it at the outset. Mann and Manley, the ends, of course. The 3 linebackers. Coleman stays in all situations. They do a lot of situation substitution. Green, of course, is the all-pro cornerback. Meanwhile, here on 3rd down and 3, 4 wide wide receivers for Denver and Elway. He's difficult here, but not this time for Dave Butts. The thing about Elway is even when his receivers are covered, we watched him throughout the playoffs, throughout the regular season, turn that play into a game, but Butts had other ideas.
Well, I think this is a design play all the way. Here's Dave Butts, and he's just on the line of scrimmage to watch Elway. No chance to throw it. This isn't even a design throw. John Elway is going to fake the pass up on the quarterback draw. Keith Bishop pulls around, but Dave Butts back from the inside, and John Elway trying to do it all here early in the ballgame.
Rich Carlos, 24-yard field goal attempt. Gary Kubiak puts it down, and Carlos's kick is good. And so the Broncos, on a long pass from Natil, make it 7-0, and on a 24-yard field goal by Carlos, make it 10-0 with 9:09 after the run back. Okay. San Diego for Super Bowl 22. In the late afternoon, before 73,000, the stadium has been expanded. It normally holds 60 to 61,000. Extra seats put in. 10-0 Broncos, who kick off for the third time, and Sanders makes the catch at the 2. And again, he is stopped and fumbles at the 15-yard line. No signal yet from the officials. Live ball. And Bob McElwee right at the bottom of the pile.
I don't think there's any doubt that the ball came out before he hit the ground. It's just a question of who has recovered it. Believe the ball clearly out.
It's a critical question, especially for the Redskins here.
It's just a fight for the ball right now. Who's got the strongest hands? The officials have no clue.
Well, the official has the ball. He's holding the football.
Oh, yeah.
Or is he? Or is that the other ball?
No, they're trying to determine who has the football because this could well change hands. And determine at the bottom of the pile.
Oh, Washington has it.
Oh. Denver with a little premature celebration there.
What happened here is that the whole Washington blocking scheme was thrown out of sync because Sanders had to catch the ball over his shoulder. And when he gets the hit from Klosterman, the ball comes loose. Oh, and look at that right there. It's in a Broncos hand, and you look at that and say, how does Washington come up with the ball? But Ken Bell, somehow, one of the guys fighting for it. And what a break for the Redskins. That could have, you hate to say it at this point in time, but that could have broken their back.
Art McNally is the replay official, but there's no way on a replay you can tell who gained possession of that one. It looked as if Bell was a lock to recover it.
You certainly would need a ground level camera.
You need a gopher.
All right, let's try this again. The ball is out. No doubt that it's a fumble. You see Bell for Denver right in there, and it looked like he had an arm on it. The officials are still conferring out on the field, and I'm at somewhat of a loss as to what they're talking about.
They're obviously in communication with the replay booth. Art McNally, the head of officials for the NFL, is the replay official, as you might suspect for the Super Bowl. They were looking to see if it was a fumble to begin with. They are not looking to see who recovered. There's no way they can tell.
Yeah. Well, there's no way they're going to say that it wasn't a fumble.
Funny scene, though, when the other official came out with the ball, they were ready to put that next ball in play before they determined who had possession of the original ball.
If that official was holding the real ball, there were an awful lot of confused guys wrestling on the ground.
Meanwhile, Ricky Sanders, who had coughed up that ball, and in 3 kickoff returns, the Redskins have failed to get back out of the 20-yard line.
After further review by the replay official, the play stands as called.
And so Washington takes over at its 16-yard line. And isn't that interesting? No team has won a game after trailing by more than 7. Not only that, trailing by more than 7, they've never caught up in the history of the Super Bowl. and tied it.
That's really surprising.
It's amazing. From the 16, and again, Washington begins at just about the same spot. All three drives beginning in this territory, and Smith gets racked up by Mecklenburg for a 3-yard loss. Mr. Inside, Mr. Outside, Mr. Everywhere is Mecklenburg.
When you get up like you are right now in a football game of this importance, the last game of the season, it's like a pack of wolves. They can smell blood down there, and they start coming out of the ground, a dealing type of defense. Mecklenburg right in there, no one even touching him.
Well, I don't know what Washington has in mind right now, but they got to seriously consider running any play they have in their playbook to get a first down. They cannot give the ball right back to the Broncos the way their defense is in retreat.
2nd and 14 from just outside the 11-yard line, and Kelvin Bryant is stopped at the 10, so they bring in Bryant, their 3rd down or 2nd and long specialist, and the man they love to throw to, and give him the ball, and he goes nowhere. Jones is there.
Rulon Jones, the guy that comes in and makes the play. Let's watch him fight through and get upfield and make the tackle rather. He's just working at the line of scrimmage, working against Raleigh McKenzie, the left guard. And I don't know if they were trying to influence block Rulon Jones or not, but nothing like turning him loose just when Kelvin Bryant arrives with the ball.
3rd and 16 from the 10-yard line. Clark in motion. And Williams fires, caught by Monk. 30, 40, and run out of bounds at the 50-yard line by Tony Lilly. Art Monk, who hasn't played because of a knee injury since early December, 40 yards.
And I think that time we saw a classic case of a cornerback, Frank, overplaying the ball. Steve Wilson.
Steve Wilson in the right corner tried to go for the interception, and Art Monk goes up, sure hands it, and he has not been in a football game since he was injured December the 6th. Just activated from the injured reserve, and he finally gets the Redskins to some kind of field position, and they needed it desperately.
And it comes on a 3rd and 16 play. So now Washington at the 50, trailing 10-0. Reverse. Sanders looks to throw and gets tackled by Ryan back at the 46-yard line.
And give a big assist to cornerback Mark Haynes, because there's no question that was going to be an attempted pass to Gary Clark. And Mark Haynes, who's played superb football over the past few weeks of the season and into the 2 playoffs, and he did a great job. He did not buy any of it. He saw Clark, who tried to slow up, tried to lure him into coming up for the tackle, and Haynes stayed with him all the way.
And where that's really a high-risk play is normally in a halfback option like that, you only send out the 1 receiver. So Haynes, in effect, snuffed the entire play.
2nd and 14. They split Bryant to the left as Kelvin lined up on the line. And over the middle and incomplete at the 28, intended for Bryant. Normally Kelvin lines up in the backfield. That time split out on the line and incomplete on the low throw. 3rd and 14.
And a risky pass that time by Doug Williams, who just barely got it over the outstretched arm of Jim Ryan, one of the linebackers on the middle of the field. And as it settled in, it hit the ground before it was able to be caught. But what did I talk about the Redskins and what they had to do? They had to get a first down. They had to give their defense a chance to get their breath, to compose themselves a bit. Even if they don't score points already, this is a successful drive for the Redskins.
3rd and 14 after they had converted a 3rd and 16. Clark in motion. And he fell down, and it's tipped and incomplete. He was looking for Clark at the 42-yard line. Tipped by Robbins and incomplete.
Pressure up front that time was put on by Rulon Jones. He's the guy that ends up on top. That's Jeff Bostic working in the middle against Freddie Gilbert. That part of the protection was good, but there's Jones dropping Williams to the ground, and a punting situation. Cox is in. And let's see what kind of a return Denver can get out of this.
Cox punting for the 3rd time. Kevin Clark stands back at his 15. Kevin was known recently as KC, wants to be called Kevin. And it's a low liner that Clark fields at the